Was the first round selection of Dalton Kincaid a mistake by Brandon Beane? I have been seeing a lot of narratives surrounding this Bills roster because when we lose to the Kansas City Chiefs or we lose in the playoffs, it's very easy to point fingers, being like, that guy's a bum. That guy needs to be fired. More importantly, that dude is a bust. All right. And if you tuned in to my earlier episode today, folks, we started unpacking Keon Coleman. Is Keon Coleman a bust? And if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend that you do so once you're finished with this one. But in conclusion, we're not going to attach that title on Keon Coleman as of yet because a lot of things sort of boiled down into context. However, excuse me, had to burp there for a second. Dalton Kincaid, all right, is a conversation I feel like that we need to have. We are going to unpack a lot of his statistics. We are going to provide some further context as into what happened in 2024, a player that we were all excited. He was supposed to be a generational tight end coming out of the draft in 2023. And the production that he ultimately ended up putting up, which once we look at this here in a second, I think it's going to be pretty eye-opening. We're going to be able to start to have these conversations. Now, again, guys, if you are new here, my name is Dan Mitchell. I am the biggest Buffalo Bills content creator on the internet across all platforms, and I cover the NFL as well. I highly recommend you subscribe to this channel, and more importantly, just do me a favor and hit those bell notifications, because I can only assume that a lot of you guys are watching the replay of this video, and I want you to be a part of my live chat community, because unlike most channels, I actually like to include my live chat in on the conversation after I get done yapping for about 10 to 15 minutes. So hit those bell notifications. And if you really want to support me, the best way you can do it is simply just by smashing that like button, baby. That is all we ask over here. Now, I do need to give a giant shout out to today's sponsor, and that just so happens to be William Matar. Folks, if you are ever hurt in a car, you have to call William Matar, #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would never wish this on anybody, but if you ever find yourself in this unfortunate scenario, it's very important to have the appropriate representation, and you are looking the man right in the face. 444-4444. Shout out to William Matar for being a proud year-long sponsor on the Dan Mitchell channel, baby. Let's unpack some Dalton Kincaid action, folks, because you want to know why people are starting to talk. They're like, damn it, Brandon Beane, I thought that Dalton Kincaid was supposed to be generational. And I'm not going to spoil my take on it, all right? Because obviously I want to be able to hear what the people have to say, and I do want to keep you on the edge of your seat. But I do want to take a look at the data, because the data tells a story. His opening season, I thought, was pretty successful, right? Had 91 targets. He hauled in 73 receptions, 673 yards, had 9.2 yards per reception, which is around the same from 2023 and 2024. He had 2 touchdowns, success rate at 61.5. His longest reception was 51, and his catch percentage was at 80.2. That right there for a rookie season, we should have been very excited for what Dalton Kincaid should have brought to the table in 2024. I have even gone on record several times in the offseason last year where I was projecting Dalton Kincaid to go over 1,000 yards, 1,100 yards. I thought that he was about to be our next Travis Kelce. I'm pretty sure I even made a video on that. Wow, do I feel like an absolute idiot, because that is not what 2024 turned out to be. And there are massive differences here, folks, right? 75 targets and only 44 receptions out of those 2. So there was a significant drop-off on the receptions that Dalton Kincaid was able to haul in this season alone, right? Biggest thing was his catch percentage. 58.7% of those balls, all right, he did not catch, or he did catch, rather. A far cry from 2023 when it came into his catch percentage of 80.2. Now, we have all thought, right, that, hey, you know what, maybe it was a sophomore slump. And we've also addressed the fact that Josh Allen and with Kincaid statistically did not have much chemistry this year. In fact, he was the second lowest player for actual catchable passes being thrown his way. And to be completely honest with you, I'm actually curious to see Dalton Kincaid total drops 2024. Give me a break here. Let me check this out. Receiving stats. Hold on. Okay. So in 2024, so we could take a look here, and we will see that he had 6 drops in 2024. And just to give you another idea, we're going to go back here real fast. He had 75 targets, 44 receptions. And then we'll go back to this. He had 6 drops. And then in 2023, he had 4 drops right over here, folks. So not a significant difference, right? And the one thing I always want to put out there and to provide further context with, when you're looking at a box score and you're seeing targets v receptions, I think everybody almost automatically assumes that this means that he just couldn't catch a cold, right? Like he couldn't catch a damn thing if he wanted to. But that doesn't always tell the full story. A recorded drop in the NFL, and obviously this is subjective, but I think it's about as close as to objectivity as you can get if the ball is reasonably catchable, if it is in your like wheelhouse, etc. 6 drops is honestly not as bad as I thought it would have been based off of these two numbers. 75 targets based off of 44 receptions. So that statistic where I said that Dalton Kincaid enjoyed a whopping 68 to 69% of catchable passes this year tends to be correct based off of the data that we are looking at. All right. So that is something that we're looking at. I mean, really everything else with the touchdowns were aligned. Same thing with first downs. I definitely wanted him to be a bit more involved in the long game. He was not. So yards per target were there. So if I had to blame anybody, and don't, guys, for the love of God, I promise you, I am not dissing the MVP of the league. But what I will say is that when you look at with Dalton Kincaid's lack of production this year, I think you can only do one thing and one thing only, and you have to point at Josh Allen for not having the appropriate chemistry with him. That was a Josh Allen stat. When you look at Dalton Kincaid's targets v receptions, his overall drop rate and or lack of production, I think the lack of chemistry that Josh Allen was able to give him in 2024 has played a massive factor into that. I think that's part of it. Second part of Dalton Kincaid has to do with that he was playing with a torn PCL. We all remember when he ended up tearing his PCL against the Detroit Lions. At least we didn't think that it was a torn PCL. And he played the rest of the season on a bum knee. So whether or not that had to do with his lack of targets, that had to do with lack of this, lack of that, I think that there's a lot of context that goes into both of those said factors. I'm not looking at the Dalton Kincaid missed catch in the AFC Championship, which would have been a highlight reel. I would have been playing that over and over again for the remainder of my damn life if that was the case. But it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. So here is my take. Is Dalton Kincaid a bust? Would I attach the bust sign to Dalton Kincaid after 2 years, a solid rookie season, and a somewhat disappointing sophomore season? Absolutely not. Do I think that he is better than the Sam Laportas of the world, or do I think that he is better than some of the other young tight ends that are coming out of the world? It's still hard to say, because also look at what kind of offense Joe Brady runs. Joe Brady specifically, like I said, he is the Oprah of offensive coordinators. Everybody eats. I think that if Dalton Kincaid had the targets like Sam Laporta typically had, or the targets that Travis Kelce had back earlier in his career, or perhaps that new tight end right over in Las Vegas, if he had his targets, do I think that his numbers would be significantly better, maybe closely aligned to both of them? I sure do. But I still think that there is room for improvement. His route running is still there. His hands are great, right? Like 6 drops certainly pisses me off. It does. But really, at the end of the day, like you just need to look at the chemistry that QB1 is trying to build with this young tight end. So With that being said, let's go over to the chat and let's have a little conversation about Dalton Kincaid. Let me help ease some of your tensions. And I got to say, listen, I have confidence that he is going to bounce back from all of this. I really, really do. I think year 3 is going to be good for him as long as he can stay healthy. I think that now that we're transitioning to a brand new strength and conditioning coach, hopefully our rehab processes look a hell of a lot better. I just think him and Josh Allen just need to get back into the lab this offseason and make sure that these off-target throws don't happen again. That's basically how it's going to play out. Let me see. Hurt more than we knew, I think. Keon's jacket. What is going on, my friend? Hope all is well. What's up, Dan? Go Bills. I think Kincaid will be good. Yeah, man. Listen, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to attach a bust label on a player until I see 3 full seasons of their production. And like we just said, I thought Dalton Kincaid looked very, very good his rookie season. He put up quality numbers. He's still a great route runner. He has great hands for the most part. Biggest problem was he was playing on a bum PCL. And then number 2, him and Josh Allen just had zero chemistry this year. Like he barely got any catchable passes, one of the lowest out of all of our weapons across. So I'm not entirely writing Kincaid off. It's only been 2 seasons, and for Keon, only 1. Calm down, everybody. We are privileged. They are at least decent. Some teams have actual busts. Maya does not like the topics today. And the topics today were, are these players busts? And why did I choose these topics? It's largely because that is what I've been seeing on social media. And I have a responsibility to address these sort of things. But yes, both Keon Coleman, both Dalton Kincaid, I am not going to label them a bust. Just basically players, number 1, that were both dealing with an injury, coming back from it. And there has been proof that they are highly productive pre-injury, etc. So I am not going to label either of them there. The growth of Shakir short over the middle took away from Kincaid. It could also be schematically, Craig, right? It could also be schematically. I do see, though, because so the targets were still there for Dalton Kincaid, right? Like maybe like a difference between 15 to 16 compared to 2000 rate in 23 and 24. So I think those targets were still around the exact same area. And I want to say that he missed a couple of games too with that knee injury. So more than likely he probably would have been up there. But yeah, I mean, it could definitely be a schematic issue. Kincaid was underutilized this season, needs to eat more. Count Dooku is coming in. What's up, Count Dooku? I appreciate you tuning in. So I'll be honest with you. His utilization was really there. So really outside of the games that he missed with injury, his targets would have been on pace for the exact same as 2023. But then again, maybe he has been underutilized in general. But then again, that's kind of what you get like with an offense that Joe Brady puts out on the field. And by no means am I complaining about it, folks. We are literally talking about the number 1 scoring offense, including playoffs, all across the NFL. So who am I to criticize, right? Like we just didn't have a guy that would continuously dominate in targets like we have in the past back in the Stephon Diggs days. Keon and Kincaid, both highly disappointed, outplayed by Mac Hollins. No, I wouldn't do that. I definitely think that is a knee-jerk reaction. Like, look at Mac Hollins' numbers, right? Like, dude had what, like 360 yards or 370 yards? No, I wouldn't say that he outplayed, so really anybody. Solid role player. Like, he is our new Isaiah McKenzie. I want to bring back Mac Hollins. But no. So to say that he outplayed as far as statistics are concerned, nah, absolutely not. Who remembers Mac Hollins dropping a deep ball against the Houston Texans? Everybody and their mother wanted him gone. It's all about recency bias, folks. It's about what have you done for me lately and not what you have done for me collectively throughout a season and or for your career. It's human nature. I go through that all the time. But no, stats were nowhere near. Kincaid showed last season that he can do it. Dalton Kincaid under Dorsey was being forced into production, and Dalton Kincaid under Brady is a committee target. If Mac Hollins leaves, Kincaid is going to blow up. 10 pro thrower. Again, I think you raise a great point. It's just the type of offense that we live in right now, folks. It's the type of offense that we live in. No one's going to dominate targets on this offense, especially as Joe Brady is the offensive coordinator. And who am I to sit here and complain about that? Because obviously it is working. I think that what needs to be done and a significant improvement would be if, of course, that we had Josh Allen just, get back into the lab with Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman and work on some of that chemistry this offseason. I think that's what we need to be looking for. Kincaid had more drops this year than career touchdowns. He had 6, he had 4 his rookie season. So really not much of a difference between those two seasons. Dan, Knox is our one. Kincaid is future. Let's concentrate on where we need defensive wins championships. Get Garrett, if not Crosby. Let's get Allen over the line. I'm a huge advocate for either of those names. Make it happen. And the fact that our salary cap is now reportedly is going to be up close to $280 million. Why the hell not? Especially with how much the salary cap continues to climb. Go on ahead and sign Max Crosby. Go on ahead and sign Myles Garrett. Backload their contracts, because by the time that contract is going to hit, who knows where the health salary cap's going to be at? Like 400 million at this point. It's hard for me to have these conversations. I like the Bills. Elam, Coleman, Kincaid, Basham, Ford. Bean misses kind of a lot at the top. Elam, Coleman, Kincaid, Basham, and Ford. I would take Coleman and Kincaid off of your list because it's way too soon to say. Basham, I agree. Ford, I agree. And Elam, I agree. But I got to be honest with you, man. He wins a hell of a lot more than he loses. And everyone's always so obsessed about Elam. And what they say is, oh, my God, we could have had Trent McDuffie. Like, we could have got Trent McDuffie, but instead we got Elam. Well, let me tell you what. We drafted Christian Benford in the 6th round. And him and McDuffie are literally neck and neck when it comes into statistics. And Benford is better DVOA in preventing separation. So if Elam pisses you off and you want to blame Brandon Beane for that so bad, like, don't worry really about where we get players, right? Like, who cares? Like, we have a first-round talent that we ultimately ended up getting in the 6th round. Like, we have so many quote-unquote first-round talents that we were able to get in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round that Bean has done. Sure, we're going to miss every now and again. And then on top of that, guys, that's one of the that is one of the biggest uneasy truths about being a very good team. Being a team that consistently has to pick between pick 25 and 32, 9 times out of 10, there are not 32 first-round grades on a first-round draft pick. Like, there's not, right? Like, yes, of course, 25 through 32 is going to get a first-round contract, and they were drafted in the 1st round. But if you genuinely wanted to just look at it objectively, 9 times out of 10, like, when you look at all draft classes, after pick 20, like, those dudes wouldn't be drafted right in the 1st. Normally would be like 2nd round, 3rd round, etc. It's very hard to hit, like, once you get past 20. Like, there are no for sures in the 1st round past pick 15, if you ask me. Like, there are no for sures. And there's really no for sures really anywhere within the draft. It's just kind of how it is. Prison Mike, he is definitely underperforming, but I don't think he is a bust. I have confidence that he'll bounce back. I really do. Keon was out more than 4 to 5 games. He didn't have much time to play, but when he did have time, he did pretty good. He played really, really good at the beginning of the season, but then after he came back from injury, that's where all the concerns were. Dan, thoughts on if the Bills' first 3 picks were Derek Harmon, a defensive line, Trey Amos, cornerback, and Jalen Royals, wide receiver? I would be pretty damn happy. That would be a dream for me, to be completely honest with you. Like, that would be an absolute dream if we were able to make that happen. I love Harmon. I also love, so the guy right out of Michigan as well, Grant, like, he would be solid right in the 1st for me. And then Trey Amos on the outside would be beautiful. And then, as many of you guys know, I am a massive Jalen Royals fan. He is the wide receiver that I want for this Buffalo Bills team to draft in the 3rd round. I'm so high on him. I think that he would fit this offense perfectly. I would love this. I really, really would. 0 questions asked. Sarah is saying every GM drafts busts, even Howie Roseman. True story. Guys, yeah, I know. Everyone likes to go on ahead and glaze Howie Roseman, but always remember that he drafted Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. All right. Always remember that, folks. Always remember that. Everybody, every fan base, all right, poll anybody that's a fan of a different team, ask them what draft pick pissed you off, and I guarantee you that they will list multiple. I was looking at the Cincinnati Bengals draft classes for the past 3 years. I haven't seen a single good player. I don't recognize a name. If you want to talk about, listen, I promise you folks that we are in a hell of a lot better of a position than a lot of NFL teams. Like, do me a favor and go look at the Cincinnati Bengals' last 3 draft classes and find somebody that's like, oh my God, like that is an absolute star on this team right now. 0. There are 0 star players or any player that has shown any sense of anything from Cincinnati. And that's a team that I know that a lot of us like want us to be for some reason, which is weird. Kincaid isn't a first round pick, that's for sure. It's a disappointment in my eyes. I'm hoping that he can prove all of us wrong, Brent. I really, really am. I'm just really hoping that it had to do with him and his lack of chemistry with Josh Allen last year. But we will see. We will see. Maya's coming in saying Bean also could have drafted Josh Rosen and did not. And people were pissed at the time. Anybody was complaining now. Sorry, Dan, we draft before you. We're taking Kenneth Grant. Fucking A. All right. Well, hey, you know what? Is what it is what it is, because we're not going to have a first round pick because we're going to fire it over to Las Vegas and or Cleveland for Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. So it's fine. With the salary cap increase of nearly $25 million, we can extend Cook and Bernard. Those 2 studs are my priority. We have Big Papa Bill. He's coming on in, man. He wants Cook and he wants Bernard. Those 2 studs are my priority. Interesting. So I'll tell you what. My priorities are Benford, number 1. Has to be Benford for me. So good. Like, he's CB1. Like next season, like that dude will probably like be a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. You heard it here first. A finalist for Defensive Player of the Year. Give me Christian Benford. He's going to go absolutely off. Like, he's about to hit his damn peak. I want to pay him now, right before this dude becomes so wildly expensive. All right? Because right now, like, his market value is stupid. So I want Benford to be number 1 priority. And then number 2, and it's not necessarily because I like put him above priority for other players. Like, obviously, I would rather in an ideal world, like, look at Shakir first, Bernard, and maybe even James Cook. But Greg Rousseau, like, we need to extend him, because if not, like, this is his 5th year option. And like, we would have to pay him like, I think it's like $18 million or something like that, or $19 million base salary, which is fully guaranteed. So we're going to have to extend Greg Rousseau just so we don't get screwed in the cap situation. So that's something to think about. Who knows, Brandon Bean? Just go on ahead and rile up some damn contracts, all right? Backload the hell out of them, because we already know that YouTube TV and how many young people are watching football, that salary cap's going to be close to $400 million in a couple of years. So why not? Why not at this point? Josh Allen, 17. Dalton Kincaid is not a bust. He is good. It is only his 2nd year. Give him some time. That is the conclusion a lot of us have raised on today's episode. Benford needs the bag now before he costs $25 million a year. His market value is close to that right now. So according to it. So I'd say let's go ahead and give him a bag right before he's like $30 million a year, which I think would be pretty interesting. Hamlin has such extreme potential, and I can't believe people saying to let him walk unless the Bills are paying him way too much. I don't know how much he is being paid. Liam Kingsley is coming on in. So as far as DeMar Hamlin is concerned, I think that people that overhate him are wrong, and I think that people that overhype him are wrong as well. I think that you can be right in the middle. I do think that DeMar Hamlin was the best free safety that we had on this team all year. right? Like he beat out Mike Edwards fair and square. Like he was just the better free safety. Like hence why Mike Edwards left the Bills and then also got released from the team that he ended up going to as well. So I never really understood why people were just like, "Oh yeah, like Hamlin, he sucks. Why is he out there?" Like he genuinely earned that position, right? He did. Um, I just think that we're in like a cap situation where I think that we can not only upgrade because it's a deep safety class, like right in this draft class, and I think that we can get younger. And so, to be completely honest with you, so I would ideally like to walk away from Tamar Hamlin and then go on ahead and put like a Billy Bowman Jr., who is out of Oklahoma. He's a free safety. He is solid in coverage. He's very fast. Um, that's my take on that. But yeah, I mean, listen, I've never really had any hate for Damar Hamlin. Give Josh Allen more money to lose when it counts. Oh, hey, baby, listen, we're going to make him an absolute dog this year. Whole damn Buffalo Bills team is a bust, as Ricky Bobby said. If you're not first, you're last. Buffalo might as well been there. So here's the deal. When it comes into that, man. There are 31 losers in the NFL each and every single year, and there have not been many winners, right? It's mostly been Kansas City, it's been the Pats, and it's been the Eagles and the Rams. That's about it. But listen, man, we're a couple of personnel away from making it happen, man. We have Josh Allen, 17. Hamlin should have been home back player of the year because he died and came back to life. God bless him. Wow. Maya is saying it's just that one clip where he couldn't catch Derrick Henry. Let me see. Jarrell Ross. Hi, Dan. My Broncos just hired Darren Rizzi, the new special teams coordinator from the Saints. Jarrell, oh, man, them Broncos, baby. Them Broncos, man. Listen, hoping that you guys have nothing but success next year. Dalton Kincaid is not a bust. Dave Rock, 69. Yeah, man. I agree. Give him another year. Didn't Dan get banned from the Bills subreddit and he took to Twitter asking people to plead for him to get unbanned? Well, no, me and Bills Reddit actually have some serious beef. I'm not concerned about those nerds. Because really, at the end of the day, look at my numbers and look at the Bills subreddit. They are shaking in their damn boots, baby. They are shaking in their damn boots. Begging? No, please. I have warriors. Warriors, baby. Anyway, let's talk about this. Mike Green. True has been playing out of position because Rapp and Bishop are not good free safeties. Eric, Dalton isn't a bust. It just isn't a priority to get him the ball the way that it should be. When they design stuff for him down the field, it usually works. Yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, it just comes with the style of offense that Joe Brady runs. It's everybody eats. That is all that comes in. Oh, I was not mocking you, by the way, Dan. I just thought it was funny. Yeah, most definitely, man. Like we ended up, so like 4 or 5 years ago, I got banned from Bill's subreddit. I have no idea why. Fucking upset those geeks by any stretch of the imagination. But I thought it would be funny if I told everyone to go over to their subreddit and just spam like free Dan Mitchell. And they got upset with me. But now I go on ahead and I don't know. I just don't talk to him. I just sit here and I win, baby. That's all. So he was a little dinged up. He comes back strong. The kid has hands. He certainly does. And I need him and Josh Allen to go on ahead and really start establishing some more chemistry. That's the most important thing. Rapp is good. He is. So far, I've seen nothing but a downgrade from Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, to be honest, even though it hurts to say. Spot Track has a project value for a contract for Shakir for $77 million. It's crazy for a slot receiver, more like $60 million. Same as Jerry Jeudy money. I don't know, man. We're going to be talking a lot of things here. Dave Rock, 69. Yeah. Dude, listen, I was petty back in the day. I have grown up, my friends. I am mature. And yeah. And so those nerds aren't big enough to be my enemy. You know what I'm saying? That's basically how I look at it. And they are in the same gated community as me, so they don't get to be my enemy, baby. Rap is really good on Madden 23. Rams, Joshua G. That's my guy. Shout out to Mike Green. Shout out to Mike Green. Mod, absolute man, always comes in and shows love. Scott comes in with a $5 donation. Scott, thank you so much. Dan, if there is one player, a free agent, that we should go all in on, who do you think it is that will help our team and sacrifice some draft picks? So there's nobody that's a free agent, but I think obviously with a trade partner for an edge rusher like Max Crosby and or Myles Garrett, I think would be an all-in type move. But I do think that there are a couple of free agents that I think that would be wonderful additions. And I have been doing a lot of videos on a lot of these guys. Spoiler alert, I love Asante Samuel Jr. out of the LA Chargers. I think he'd be a great CB2 for us. I think some other depth pieces. I do think bringing Jordan Phillips back as depth for defensive tackle like would be ideal. Like he's effective. He knows his defense. He's good with this defense. Right? Like it's no surprise, folks. It's no surprise that our run defense significantly improved when Jordan Phillips was signed to this team. It's not crazy. It's not an excuse, but I don't know. Dan, what are your thoughts on Milton Williams? He is a dog. Go Bills. I'm going to have to check him out, man. Listen, I am balls deep right now in free agency. And the second that I get into the draft, don't worry. We're going to be littering some content. And next week is the combine. Don't worry about this, boys. We're going to be doing a lot of combine videos. A lot of combine videos, boys. That's what we're looking at. Philip Castro. Dan, what are your thoughts on Milt Williams or that one? Let me see. Dan, thoughts on letting Terrell Shavers get more playing time with his speed? I'm fine to see what happens in camp, man. I really, really am. 307 of you are currently watching. I appreciate all of you for doing that. 99 of you on YouTube, 203 of you on X. Guys, I just want to take a moment and thank each and every single one of you for tuning in to another edition of Dom Mafia Live. Again, the moral of the story is it's way too early for us to attach a bust label on Dalton Kincaid. I think he just needs to work on chemistry with Josh Allen, and hopefully next year he's not playing with a torn PCL. I think that's all we could hope for. Thank you so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. We'll see you next time. Deuces.